It all started in the most mundane of battlegrounds. A grocery store parking lot on a humid Saturday afternoon. The kind of day where the sun turns car roofs into stovetops and everyone's patience evaporates like spilled gasoline. I had just finished loading my groceries into the trunk when I noticed the woman. Mid-50s, blonde bob cut, oversized sunglasses, staring at me like I'd personally offended her ancestors. She stood behind her shiny white SUV, clutching her phone like a weapon. "You scratched my car," she said flatly, marching toward me. I blinked. "I didn't even touch your car." She gestured to a tiny smudge near her bumper, probably a bug stain. "Right there. You need to take responsibility." Now, I'm not someone who enjoys confrontation. But I also don't appreciate being accused of crimes I didn't commit. "Ma'am," I said, trying to keep my voice calm, "that's not a scratch. It's literally dirt." "Here," I rubbed the spot with my thumb. It vanished. "See?" Her mouth opened and closed like a confused goldfish. Then came the inevitable words, "Don't you touch my property. I'm calling the cops." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was surreal. "Go ahead," I said, leaning against my car. I love an audience. That's when she really lost it. She began pacing, muttering about people like me and the decline of civilization, giving dramatic side glances to passers-by as if auditioning for a reality show. A few shoppers slowed down, pretending to check their receipts while eavesdropping. One guy even pulled out his phone to film. Within minutes, she was giving a full-blown performance, pointing at me, shouting exaggerated claims about how I'd attacked her car and refused to take accountability. Meanwhile, I stood there sipping from my water bottle. The world's most patient villain. When the cops actually arrived, 2 officers, visibly tired of everything, she practically ran to them. "That's the one," she cried. They looked at me. I looked at them. "Hi," I said, cheerful as a morning talk show host. Apparently, I committed assault against a Honda with my shopping cart. The officers glanced at her bumper, at my car, then at each other. "Ma'am," one said carefully, "this is a smudge." Her jaw dropped. But she. I smiled. "Told you I love an audience." That should have been the end of it. But with people like Karen, it never ends there. I didn't plan on going viral. No one ever does. Yet, the next morning, my phone was buzzing like a beehive on espresso. My face, mid-eye roll, hair frizzing in the heat, was splashed across half of social media. The video's caption read, "Karen calls cops over imaginary scratch, woman's epic response." At first, I laughed. Then I read the comments. Half of them were cheering me on, "Queen behavior. This is how you handle Karens." While the other half accused me of being disrespectful or an attention seeker. The internet had taken sides in a war I never wanted to fight. Meanwhile, the original Karen wasn't done. She found my Facebook, still public back then, and began posting comments about how I'd humiliated her and encouraged mob harassment. By Monday, local news outlets picked it up. A reporter called, asking if I'd give my side of the story. I said no. But saying no just made them hungrier. My boss saw the video too. He laughed at first, then pulled me into his office. "Listen, it's funny," he said, "but the company's image. Don't tell me you're siding with Karen." He sighed. "Just keep your head down, all right?" Except keeping my head down was impossible. When half the city recognized me as Smudge Lady. Kids whispered it at coffee shops. Strangers grinned at me in checkout lines. One afternoon, I found a letter on my windshield. No return address, just bold handwriting, "You embarrassed the wrong person." I froze. At first, I thought it was a prank. Then I saw the SUV parked across the street, white, familiar, engine idling. Karen. She smiled when she caught my eye. Slow. Cold. Like she knew something I didn't. I snapped a photo of the plate and called a friend. She's outside my place, I whispered. Seriously? Call the cops. Oh, she'd love that, I muttered. Because for Karen, the cops weren't the threat. They were part of the performance. And I had just stepped into her sequel by the time the next week rolled around. Karen had taken her obsession to Olympic levels. It turned out she lived 3 streets away. Worse, she was on the HOA board, the unofficial queen of suburban pettiness. The first letter came tucked under my doormat. Violation, trash bins visible from the street. Then came another, violation, grass exceeds acceptable height. By the 4th, which claimed my wind chime disturbed the community's tranquility. I realized this wasn't random. This was warfare. I decided to fight back. I attended the next HOA meeting, Karen presiding at the head of the table. Pearls gleaming like armor. The room was filled with polite nods and fake smiles. Ah, she said when she saw me. The YouTube celebrity. I smiled sweetly. Always nice to meet a fan. Her smile twitched. We debated over bylaws, landscaping, even mailbox placement. Every sentence she spoke dripped with sugar-coated hostility. But I stayed calm. Responding with facts, quotes. And, my secret weapon, video evidence of her own violations. When I projected a photo of her trash bins left out overnight, the room went silent. Oh, I said innocently. I assume this is a community-wide problem, not just mine. Someone in the back snorted. Karen's face went redder than a stop sign. She adjourned the meeting early. That night, she posted on Nextdoor about a disruptive resident spreading misinformation. But this time, the tide turned. Neighbors who'd suffered her tyranny finally spoke up. Within days, the HOA board was flooded with complaints, not about me, but her. The queen had fallen out of favor. Still, Karen wasn't the type to retreat gracefully. She left a final gift. An anonymous report to animal control about my aggressive dog. They showed up, saw my corgi wagging its tail, and apologized. I thought that was the end of it. Until a detective called. Apparently, someone had filed a harassment claim against me. Karen had taken it to the next level. And now, it wasn't just neighborhood drama. It was legal. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Just a few rows of wooden benches. A judge who looked perpetually unimpressed. And Karen sitting opposite me, immaculate as always. Clutching a binder stuffed with evidence. Her lawyer spoke first. Painting her as a victim of my ongoing intimidation. According to him, I had weaponized the internet. Turned her life into a circus. And encouraged online stalking. When it was my turn, I stood up, hands steady. Your Honor, I began, I didn't start any of this. I didn't film that first video. I didn't post it. I didn't even want it online. But I'm not responsible for how the internet reacts to her behavior. I showed screenshots, timestamps, messages, the threatening note. Then I played the security footage from my driveway. Her SUV. Parked for hours. Karen's face went pale. The judge sighed. Ms. Daniels, he said, addressing her. This seems less like harassment and more like fixation. Her lawyer tried to interject, but the judge raised a hand. I'm dismissing this. And Ms. Daniels, consider this a warning, cease contact immediately. Bang. Gavel down. Outside, reporters waited, but I walked past them. No more interviews. No more viral fame. Just silence, blessed, heavy silence. Weeks passed. Life returned to normal, mostly. The video faded into internet history, replaced by the next trending outrage. One evening, as I unloaded groceries, same parking lot. Different day, I caught sight of a familiar white SUV in the distance. My pulse jumped, but then I saw a teenager get out instead. Different person. Different story. I exhaled and smiled. Sometimes, the loudest revenge is peace. Still, when the cashier later asked if I wanted my receipt, I couldn't resist a grin. Sure, I said. You never know when someone might call the cops.